it's me, Eco Chick, and I'm standing here next to Lake Creek. Lake Creek is a spawning ground. This is just down from Lake Creek Falls, and you may have heard of this place called Triangle Lake, and this is a stream that flows out of Triangle Lake and eventually merges into other streams and eventually hooks into the Pacific Ocean, an estuary first, then the Pacific Ocean. And the cool thing about this stream, it's very unique in Oregon, is there are no dams on this stream. And so fish, our Chinook or coho salmon that will be migrating up the stream, don't have to face that obstacle in this stream to get back to the natal stream where they were laid as eggs, fertilized as eggs, and grew into eventually an adult salmon ready to go out into the ocean. So I brought with me out in the field our little egg kit, and we've been watching these phases in the tank, and this is what will be happening. Our adult salmon, the females will be laying eggs, and the eggs will be fertilized by the male, and they will be in here for many months before they hatch. And hopefully, if all the conditions are just right, they'll grow up and make their way to the ocean to eventually come back here again and start the whole thing again. So I have here two stuffies. This is my dear friend Samantha, and she is a female Chinook salmon. And female Chinook salmon have anywhere from 3,000 to 5,000 eggs inside their bodies. And I have here, this is not a Chinook male, this is a sockeye male, but for modeling how the process works, I have this friend here, Sam, so Samantha and Sam. And so what will happen is Samantha will start making her way. She's smelling to see if this is just the right smell. And when she finds that spot, she will actually go onto her back, or onto her tail, her caudal fin a little bit. Oh, there's one back there now. She will swish into the gravel to make her red. She will release her eggs here, right where this tag is. Sorry, this anal fin is actually just the right shape to help the eggs go down into the red. And then what will happen is she kind of moves forward, and then the male comes in, and he will be right over her red and will let some milt come out of his body at the same place. And then he will sort of move forward. She literally swims backwards a little bit. She will get down with her tail again, swish again to cover those eggs with the gravel. And then if she still has more eggs left, which she probably does because she only lays around 100 at a time, she will then make her way upstream further. The same male will follow her, and she will possibly make multiple reds along this spawning stream. So it's a very cool process. So yeah, and behind me we do have a few today, so it's a pretty great day out at Lake Creek. Right now, below me, believe it or not, there are like 20 fish right in the shadows, right below. They're rather hard to see, and I do have my polarized glasses on, and I'm still, struggling to see them, but it is really something. One of them is, probably about as long as my arm, which is pretty cool. And one way that you can spot them is often at this time of their lives, they have a little tiny bit of white on their backs that you may or may not be able to see moving around in the water. And they really like this deeper pool here to rest in. So yeah, this is Lake Creek, and this is a spawning ground for Chinook salmon and coho salmon. take a look at the stream. What do you notice? Look at the edges of the stream. Looking up the tops of the trees. Noticing the foliage. That means leaves. I'd like to talk to you about gravel and gravel size. So in this creek, there are two types of salmon of the 5 type of Pacific salmon. We have coho and chinook that spawn in this creek, and different types of salmon are different sizes, so the gravel that they can move with their tails to make their reds will be different sizes. So Chinook tend to be one of the largest of the salmon. They're known as king salmon also, and so they will tend to move larger gravel. If we're talking about pink salmon, which are the smallest, and we don't have those here, the gravel that they use for their reds is quite a bit smaller. So gravel size does matter in the streams that fish are spawning in. I wanted to tell you a little story from last year at the creek, and so I have here a reenactment of a scene that my team and I came across when we arrived at the creek last year. So we had our dear Samantha, and she had been hanging around with us in this creek for many, many days, and we knew that it was her as we had been looking at her, and we noticed her markings. And over on the bank over there was a juvenile eagle. Juvenile eagles don't have all their colors, so this is Everett, and he's an adult bald eagle, but juveniles are very brown, and so this particular juvenile eagle that day got really lucky, so they thought, when they had our dear Samantha up on the bank over there. So we said a few quiet words for Samantha, and we were pretty sure that that was the end of her, and we went about setting up for the rest of our day, and we came back down though, and there she was, laying on the side of the bank. The eagle we had scared away, and so she was there, and we, again, were like, oh, poor Samantha, she is very dead. But then, all of a sudden, we saw her taking a breath through her gills. She wiggled backwards like this. She got into the water, righted herself, and then swam as fast as she could down to the deep pool under the bridge again. And she lived another day. It was quite amazing, the strength in the last days of her life. So yeah, salmon in this creek have a lot of different predators. So eagle is one of them, and eagle actually can be a predator along a creek. It can also be near the ocean, and so they love them some salmon. I also have over here a river otter, and we have seen river otter here, and river otter really love getting their hands and mouths on salmon. And then lastly, last year we actually had some black bear in this area, and the cool thing was the property owners here had seen this mother bear, and she was teaching her young to come to the creek and to fish for salmon instead of getting into their garbage cans. So that was a super great story to hear. And we did see scat, that's the word for poop. Yeah, we saw some bear scat, and so it was very cool to see how the bear had come down for the salmon. So salmon are food for a lot of different creatures at all of the different stages of their lives.